we'll call the meeting to order.
Something's posted to you.
We have a motion to approve the minutes from last time, July 5th.
You realize it.
Yeah.
For a second,
I'm sorry.
all in favor? All opposed?
Who made the motion?
Susan?
I didn't know.
Okay. Well, Ken Haney's supposed to be here to talk about Friends of Mill Creek, and he texted me a few minutes ago. It says, is the meeting still on? Yes. So,
Again.
again, okay. John, you wanted to talk about, some ideas. Can you wait till at the end?
Sure, whatever. You can save yourself the boredom and speak now, but.
But then you're still stuck, so, right?
Yeah,
I figured I'd just go home and she could walk.
Yeah, right.
I was gonna suggest
Good
that
thought.
you could walk
Fine.
Okay.
Like that. Always
All right, do I have any remarks? Not really. I'll talk about the planning committee. The only other remark I have is that we're leaving Friday for 2.5 weeks. You're in charge.
Slim read.
Oh,
A slim read, you gotta lean on.
for 2.5
Well, I don't know,
weeks.
every 3 years, you had nothing.
That's right, and whenever you're gone, nothing happens, so it's all right.
Right, so I guess I'll be gone.
So if you don't come back, he's still in charge.
Oh, no, oh,
Yeah,
don't think that.
I think that's all I have.
Yeah, this is the August meeting, right? Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
this is the August
yeah.
meeting. Because we're all AWOL in August. Elect new officer, do we have to do that?
We did that.
Oh, we did that.
This is the last,
Yeah, we did this last time.
Rhea does this every other month.
I know, but just making sure you're on top of
Is
it.
this a cut and paste, the cut
I
and
think,
paste?
yeah.
She didn't like how the election went.
That's fine.
But President Trump, we had the election.
But save us some time, we can move right
Yeah,
along.
we're right along.
Let's do it again.
My bad. Again.
Okay.
That shows you none of us read the agenda issues.
Oh, thank you, good comeback. I'll remember.
Well, you
I'm sure there'll be another opportunity.
You get a chance to read it when you get here, so.
Yeah,
Send that Friday. Oh, it's on the
Okay.
website. Yeah.
all right. You want to update us on the office?
I don't know if I can, but I'll try. Okay. Well, real quickly, I'm gonna send out mid-year statements here in the coming weeks. So that's what I've been doing the past couple of years. I'm archiving old files again. Yesterday I had a report of vandalism. The sign we just had replaced down here on Lake, the speed limit sign. When the owners around there wanted a children at play sign included, so Joe put both of those up last week, Saturday, it's breaking. So I called Joe and he'd already seen it and tried to print off. But the person that reported it actually reported it to the club, a member of the club, and Tara, I forget her last name, and so she, oh, good. So she forwarded it to me. You want me to wait or shall I keep going? Because I've got some more reading things to talk about, those violations. Okay,
Guess this is
Yeah.
the place?
Yeah,
Nice.
this is it.
I'll continue.
How are you?
We had just started the meeting. We'll pause and let you have the floor.
Okay.
Folks, this is Ted Haney, longtime Sullivan's resident, retired educator, all-around good guy.
Right.
He always raises his hand.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
Spend too much time in a classroom.
But he's gonna talk to us about the Friends of Mill Creek.
So yeah, real quick, and props to you guys for having a meeting tonight. This is just a little rain, right? So this is our little brochure. You can just pass it around. And I guess I think I have a. So basically, I mean, this is really pretty simple. The ACLT, if you know that group, American Chestnut Land Trust, up off of Dares Beach Road. So they coordinate, different friends groups, watershed friends groups. So there's several different watersheds in Calvert County. And they have the friends of, the active friends groups are Friends of Hunting Creek, Friends of St. Leonard Creek, and then they asked me, raise my hand, about starting one for Mill Creek. So Mill Creek, you know, it's the Mill Creek watershed. So that includes Mill Creek, St. John's Creek, Solomon's Harbor, Back Creek, you know, all our whole community, where we live right here. And so I said, well, if other, you know, groups have a friends groups, certainly Mill Creek should have a friends group. Solomon's Harbor is the crown jewel of Calvert County. I mean, it is, as you know, and where you live as well. So you can look left, you can look right, and you know, we're surrounded by water. So why wouldn't we want to pay attention to that and advocate for good practices that help keep it sustainable, swimmable, and fishable, as our mission statement says. And so, so we have begun that, and you know, basically that's what we do. So we sponsor us. What's today? When?
Yeah.
Yesterday, we sponsored a paddle, which left from the Marine Museum, all 6 of us. And so the idea is just to, you know, to sponsor events where people can begin to appreciate, you know, where we live, you know. And, you know, I've always said I want to look out the window someday and go, what the hell happened, you know, to our waterways, you know, without somebody paying attention to it. So that's basically what we're doing, you know, is just trying to, you know, keep an eye on things. We had when we first started, we did what they call a water blitz. We are so fortunate that we are so connected to the lab, you know, and they've been doing water testing in the Mill Creek watershed for years. We're the only one that really has literally years and years, decades of data about the quality of the water, you know, in our watershed. So you were way ahead of other groups. But, you know, we did a they call it a blitz. And so we identified some places to take some water samples, and we did that, and the results are back, and we're going to have a meeting late August where we'll present those results. So just what I just ask you to do is just to be aware that this is it. I would like to, if you are, and we can do this through Mike or, you know, through your association, it'd probably be easier. Just those of you that might be interested, just to get on our distribution list, so you can be aware of when we're having events. We're going to have a meeting in late August. We had the paddle. You know, one of the people that's going to present we're going to present the results of the testing that we did, which should be very, very interesting. And then there's a group. It's a private company that does sustainable kind of landscaping type ideas, and so she's just, it's their business, but she's just going to present some ideas, you know, as Walter Boynton, I don't know if you know Walter from the lab, but he's an active member of our group, and he, you know, like the real estate people always say, location, location, location. Walter says with our group it's retention, retention, retention. How can we retain water, you know, on our lots? And so that's part of what she's going to present. And then really excited about it, we're going to have a dinner that No Time to Cook is going to put on. It is an invasive species dinner. Right? So
we have to eat
Are you
them?
reading?
obviously we're going to have snakehead, we're going to have blue catfish, but there's also, you know, the idea is that we're going to capture and consume, you know, things that are, you know,
I draw the
invasive.
line at Phragmites.
A little spiky.
Yeah, but that should be fun. And the young women at ACLT are so smart, you know, and they're just, I mean, they have college degrees in this stuff, and it's not just that, but there are grains and there's, you know, different stuff that, and Gwen Novak, you know, is so talented that, it's gonna be a ticketed event, but it's gonna be pretty cool.
When is that?
It's gonna be probably in the fall sometime.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
we'll
it's not
put-
scheduled, but you're.
No, not yet, not scheduled
Okay,
yet.
great.
And neither is the August meeting is not scheduled either, so.
Okay.
But if Mike or whomever here could capture some of the email addresses, we'll put you on the distribution list so that you can, we don't have dues, we're still young, we just really just got organized. But we just want people to be aware of it, and certainly the Drum Point community needs to, be part of it.
I'm trying to think, when you talk to the yacht club, I think you use the term sponsor for other organizations that want to, is that the appropriate term, or was it something else?
I don't know, I don't remember that part of it, could have been something else I was talking.
Well, no, I thought you were looking for other organizations to be,
Oh, yeah, so you just call them kind of like partners.
okay,
So, yeah, and so basically, a part like the Solomons Business Association or the Yacht Club, several different other groups. And basically, by being a partner, it only means that you kind of support the mission of the group, that's it. We're not asking for money, but just, that you agree that this is something that we should be paying attention to. So, I think one of the important things that I put in here when we wrote this in the mission statement, that I said our mission is to be action-oriented and inclusive, engaging broad community support from residents, landowners, watermen, business owners, and developers, and being stewards of our natural resources. And I purposely put developers in there because often they look at conservancy groups and groups like this as being anti-development and anti-growth, and we're not. They're not going to, nor do I want them to stop development. We're not going to stop advocating for good practices for our environment to keep our waterways, viable, swimmable, and fishable. And so we have to learn how to coexist. And I told some people, some developers, I said I'd like to write the book, on how to do this properly, where we learn how to coexist. So, for a homeowners association, one of the things that we would ask, we see True Green and these big trucks, coming into these communities to do all the, keep our lawns green and beautiful, and we can do that in a smart way. Like I would say, if we knew this storm was coming today, it probably wouldn't be a good day to apply that to your yard, because it's all going to just run off,
right.
into the creek. So it's just about being smart, about what we do, and that's all we're really advocating for. So.
Well, I can put, do you have quantities of these, a quantity of these that I could include in our welcome folders?
Yeah, I can get them.
Okay, and also I could put a link to you have a website.
Yeah.
I can put a link on our website to.
Well, what I was going to suggest is under new business, let's address whether we want to be partnered
Oh,
in this.
Yeah.
And if we do, then let's take the next step then,
Yeah.
get some literature, and
Sure.
we do a quarterly newsletter, so we can put something in the newsletter, put something on our website,
Yeah.
links and things like that, so.
So, yeah, just something I think, I don't know, if anybody would disagree, it's something we should be paying attention to. Like I said, you look left, you look right, we're surrounded by water. That's why many of us are live here, right? So,
You made a good point about like the True Green. Are you reaching out to any of these landscaping outfits that do that kind of stuff to see about?
Yeah, I really kind of, I don't even, that came from, one of our members, which I thought was a great idea about connecting with the homeowners association, just, because a lot of times people, they're just not, it's not part of their consciousness, to think about things like that, So, I haven't yet, but, and I guess through the homeowners association, if you have, that's all done just private individually,
Yeah.
It's not like.
We don't have a.
Yeah, of course, a contract or
Maintenance.
something like that.
Right. Everything's individual.
So, yeah, so at some point, we'll have probably a member that has True Green or whatever the other, companies are, that maybe we'll have a contact or connection where we can just talk about, how do you do that? What do you think about, we're applying these things?
Well, we have an
What are
environmental
we
committee,
Yeah.
just want you to know.
Well, good. Great. So, so that's it. So, just we'll be connected and I appreciate that.
So
Chance to-
if we
chance to
send,
speak.
Ted, if we send, I'm just gonna let you.
Yeah.
We were just talking about not listening.
No.
If we email you our contact, will you put
Yes.
us on the list?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be easier.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Any other questions for Ted about the organization or?
Just a comment, I think it's great.
Well, I think it's something, we all live in the same place, so.
Yeah.
We actually have an environmental committee
Yeah.
as part of the homeowners association, and the two
Fantastic.
in charge are right there.
So can I say,
Bonnie and Jenny.
one other thing is that I'm president of the Solomon Civic Association. And so your Solomons residents down like post office in Solomons. So we just, I just want to reach
Well, we're
out.
not.
We're not.
Oh, no.
No, we're not.
No,
We're lesbian.
this is lesbian.
Oh, so you're lesbian?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're lesbians.
So
So
we're
you're giving us
lesbians.
Yes.
What is, what am I thinking of?
Dow.
Oh, it's Dalrec. I'm
Dow
sorry.
became Solomon.
My bad, my bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, that's Dalrec.
yeah.
The only other thing I did want to say, and I know this is kind of a bait and switch, but I also do this Bikes of the World program. And so it's just, we just collect used, usable bicycles, people that are just discarded them, and we collect them and we ship them overseas to third world countries or places that people don't have any transportation whatsoever. So,
So we have a community cleanup twice a year,
yeah.
and people do bring bicycles.
Yeah.
And years ago, maybe it was your organization, who came and gathered like 15 or 16 bicycles.
Well, in 2008, when I worked with the school system, that's how I got connected with them.
Okay.
So it might have been.
Might have been through that.
We,
But can we contact you?
yeah, so I'm gonna leave these,
Yeah.
leave
Because
these
you hate to
cards.
see them go in the dumpster.
Yeah.
I mean,
There usually some kid comes along and picks up.
well,
one.
quite
Some of
often,
them, yeah.
quite often, yeah.
But still, there's a lot of bikes around.
We will transport this week are like over 300 bicycles.
Excellent.
A lot of these bikes need some work though.
Yeah,
Right.
do you take any
That's
shape?
what you do.
Any shape, as long as they're not locked up, rusted,
Oh, well,
Right.
flat tires. We
Chains.
have never collected a bike that had a tire that area.
Do you
So-
do you take kids' bikes as well?
Kids' bikes too, yeah. Not scooters or, skateboards and stuff like that, but yeah, I was up there today and we're, it's just a really nice program. And I just thought this would be a great venue just to advertise that as well, so.
You still have the bin up there at the
Brooms Island Road.
Island
Yeah,
Road.
and it's packed. I was in a reading camp, something else I did all last week, and it is packed, so.
Oh.
That's
we're
where
ready
people
to-
drop off their
Yeah, it's a
bikes?
self-serve, right past Christ Church.
Okay.
On Brooms Island Road, on the right-hand side where the community college used to be, we have a big container there and a big, huge Bikes for the World sign on it.
Oh, cool.
And it's self-serve, you
Is this
put
by
your-
the convenience center, their collection, waste collection thing here?
No, it's a half a mile off of Route 4 on Brooms Island Road,
Yeah.
So the church is on the
But-
left-hand side.
just past the
Oh,
church.
on Brooms Island.
Brooms Island Road.
Didn't it used to be over on Ball Road?
No, we didn't have one.
Okay.
But anyway, so that's something else, but it's another really good program. It's for a community like this, for you to know about it,
Yeah,
it'd be very
I'm
helpful.
glad, because we are,
Yeah.
all right, I'm not there right now.
But as far as Friends of Mill Creek, we're up and running and really would love to have your community involved.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about it, and
Okay.
I suspect it probably get a positive reaction.
Yeah, and we can, when we're ready to, I can get you the electronic copy or just hard, probably that would be better, right, to send out in the newsletter?
Yeah, well, if you have something digital, that would be good.
Yeah,
But maybe I could, like, the newsletter's not very large,
Right.
so I mean, it would take up most of the
you
newsletter.
could maybe just give the
But I
basic
could do like the
information
mission
or
statement
something.
and contact.
Yeah, because that's all on the website, so
This
maybe
could all
just,
go, yeah, I would do
give
a
the
link on the
contact that
website,
we're-
and they
yeah,
decide
yeah.
if that's what they want to do.
Yeah, we can do a little overview and then a link
Yeah.
and.
But yeah, digital
great.
copy would be good.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate it, thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me over.
thanks for coming in the rain.
Sure. Absolutely. Thanks for meeting me, Ryan. See you all, thanks. See you soon.
Bye. Another wave coming through. Okay, we were updating the office, or office needing the update or something.
Yeah, let's see, I said mid-year statements and the vandalism issue, which Joel took care of. I'm archiving old files again, do that periodically. But the two main things on my list, we all know about Surf Street, we were talking about it before the meeting, where the man purchased a lot that's 50% underwater, perhaps, and applied for permits through MDE to be able to put a gazebo there and so on. He's not received his permits, and he's even continuing, according to Tony and Bonnie, with some more construction. I reported this to zoning enforcement a couple of weeks ago, and, well, to the woman that I work with there, Robin Monikheisen, and she forwarded it to Ron Marnie and so on. But, so Friday I sent an email to Ron Marnie and I said, you know, can I get an update? And he called me and he said, well, you haven't actually filed a formal complaint yet. And Robin might have told me that and perhaps I just missed it, but in any case, I filed a formal complaint now. I called the right person and filed the complaint, and so now they can send an inspector and put a stop work order on it. The footbridge, if at some point we want to do something to clean that out and make it flow better, we can't do anything with that until this is all settled between this owner and MDE and so on.
Why is that?
You know, I didn't ask Rob, that was from Rob in the beginning of all this. I really didn't ask why, except that our property is adjacent, you know, that footbridge outlet is adjacent to his property. And anything he does impacts that flow. And it already has, according to Tony and Lauren.
Yeah, well, yeah, I walked by there.
So I
just-
really didn't ask why not.
No, I know, I walked by there this afternoon just out of curiosity to see what was happening. And that little streamlet or whatever it is,
That's-
it always
yeah.
has running water in it.
Right.
Not today, it's
Right.
backing up.
And both Mary Jo and Megan have complained about that,
Well,
causing
and
some
I-
flooding that is,
well, and I-
is
and I-
causing a problem.
I sent Mary Jo and Megan both an email a couple of weeks ago when this kind of all began and
Mhm.
explained what's going on and that I didn't couldn't do anything just yet,
Mhm.
and so on. We certainly can't do anything without permits. We can't just go in there and dig it
Yeah.
out.
But what he's doing is likely causing problem for our property owners.
If all we're doing is
By the way.
remediating something that was
Well,
already there, we shouldn't need a
perhaps.
permit for that.
Yeah.
I know that this winter when we had some storms, that's sort of,
I think what he did, he cleaned some vegetation away from the sides of that little streamlet or whatever it is. And I think what has happened, some of those sides have now collapsed.
Okay.
well, and I had soil conservation come in a year ago, a while ago, to take a look at that area because it's been an issue.
Mhm.
And he walked up, you know, up a little into this, up the stream or whatever, up the drainage. He said, there's nothing you need to do with this. Leave it alone. That was last year.
But
So
it's-
what-
Yeah, but last year it was flowing.
Well, I know,
Flowing,
yes, I
yeah.
understand that. So I'm just saying,
Well, I guess the first
I
step
can
is to
ask
get
if
this, you know, get the thing filed,
oh, I was just
Complaint.
down, yeah.
then deal with the inspectors and point out that whatever they're doing there, it seems to be impacting the flow of that water.
Right.
and
It's
causing
washing
it to
out
back up.
the path.
Because the day I looked at it, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and it was like, you're saying, it seemed to be flowing fine,
Yeah, but that's, yeah, usually today,
yeah.
nothing.
Even before the rain.
Yeah, before the rain, I mean, I actually went, hey, that looks like it's still, so I walked down onto the beach, Nothing.
No.
It hits the beach, but then it stops there. It's not flowing
I think
into
Joe
the
has
bay.
cleaned it out pretty
Well, it's not
in
flowing
minor
today.
amount, just to be able to.
It's not, wasn't doing it today.
I'll contact them tomorrow and ask, and say that whatever he's doing is impacting us now, and
Is
why
that stream
can't
with
we
his,
do
is
anything?
that on his property too?
No.
Along the
No.
side.
What's the source of that water? Is it a spring in there?
Well, you know, if you look on the
Almost
map,
have to be.
it backs
Seems like.
right up to the, where are we? It's there, there.
Isn't it, it's like over
Thank you, yes. So you see that big blank spot there?
This here,
Yes. It backs right up, you can see Iris goes up,
Yeah.
and it backs right into this. And somebody that lives down on Creek, who repaired his driveway interface last year, had walked up in there and said, I'd have to look at his email, don't know now. You know, was concerned about the flow from down there, and wondered if we couldn't just like grade it and so on. And I said, well, you know, I explained that we're in the middle of this thing with this man on serve, but also that's not our property. We can't just go in there and grade
that's
it.
right.
It's not part of North Point. There's, those are parcels that aren't part of North Point.
But there's nothing built in there either, I
No,
don't think. It's all
no.
just
And
empty
there's no, you
space.
can't
Green
get,
space.
Right,
I guess you could
as
get
far
there
as
with
I
Iris,
know.
you could use Iris to get in there if you.
Yeah, you could walk up there and so on, but,
There could be a spring in there, or,
where is this? Actually, I think,
In the
Is
woods.
this Mohawk? Right here? So I think if
Yeah.
you go, if you went straight across into here, there's a house back here.
Oh, there is?
Yes, and I think that one might be part of your point.
Oh, good, okay. Oh, that's clear. Oh, now I fully
And I
understand.
think that's where his property is,
where's
that's half the water.
where's his lot? I'm sorry?
That's where his lot is, that's half in the
Oh,
water.
it's,
Well, his is down here.
it's that,
Is it here?
that
it's
lot.
this,
It's
yeah,
like this one
lot.
right
it's
here.
this point.
Yeah.
But it's all gone. I mean, you
Yeah,
know,
look,
It's 50% underwater.
Yeah.
And why would you want to?
That's a good.
I don't know, over the years, the man that had owned it would try to sell it. And he was asking, I want to say 35 or 40 for it, something like that. And I had people call and they said, well, you know, I walked on it and, you know, look, you know, could I put a gazebo there or something like that? And come down over the weekends. And I explained to them, what you're walking on isn't necessarily all his property because of the right of way on Surf. I said, you have to realize, you know, where you find the edge of the pavement, it's like maybe 10 feet off that edge into his property that's not his property. So people would, oh, gee, I'm glad I called you,
That
kind of thing.
tornado.
And this person never called
Sorry
me.
about that.
This person never called me. If it's a tornado warning, guys, we cannot all fit in that one closet. It's a nice spot. But,
We could try.
but he had never called me that I could explain that to him. And he paid $24,000-$25,000 for it.
Oh, I know that.
This past year, because he first contacted me in February to tell me that our footbridge drainage was impacting his lot. And that's what it all kind of began. And then I found out he'd applied for permits.
And we'll get it all second hand.
I find
So that's that one.
it's reminiscent.
So then we
of
also
Florida.
have another issue with zoning enforcement. I had a call from, first I got a letter for 281 Overlook Drive. They wanted to do a variant, I guess a variance, Board of Appeals request. There's a patio that they had built that they now want to take down and build like a screened-in porch building type of place. And I looked at it, I didn't, and I sent it to you, Mike, and neither of us saw that we had a dog in the fight, as they say. Well, then I had a phone call. This patio is right down by the water, which I assume when they say patio, I'm thinking right on
Right
the
on the
house.
house,
Yeah, that's a.
No, it's right down by the water, and the man, and it was actually Ron Martin that called me. You know, maybe in the process of the other call, we talked about this. He said, you guys need to send a letter to them because that's on your property, down by the water. That strip of
That's
property.
right, that walk, yeah, that access,
And
whatever it's called.
You are now in violation of critical area. And that is how they look at it. That is exactly how they look at it. Years and years and years ago on lessons, somebody had topped out the trees on one of our lots. Because they wanted to put a satellite up. So I called the Navy report. And the man, I don't know who it was now, the man I spoke with, he said, well, you know, are you sure you want to report this? Because this is on your property and you're the one's in violation. Because we couldn't prove who did it. I said, well, who's? So I said, well, I guess I don't want to make the report. Thanks. So anyway, I did do the letter. I went and actually, you can pull them up on the county website. I didn't realize they had really great GPS maps. If you pull up like 2017, there's nothing there. 2018, when these people purchased, then you can see the shadow of this patio right on the water. So I sent a letter and had my review it and sign it, and went critical, not critical.
Certified.
Thank you. I get service. Certified mail. And I copied Ron Moore certified as well. I sent it out Friday.
Well, I told him months and months ago.
Oh, you did?
That brick was not his property.
Did you tell him about the critical area and the percentage even allowed in impervious surface?
No, I didn't get into all that. I mean, they're just a really, really sweet couple.
Oh, well, I'm sure
They're
they
so
are.
nice and, you know, yeah, what can I say?
Well, I sent a copy, you know, that page that I put in the welcome folder, which they had received the welcome folder, so they had all this information, thankfully. Telling about the critical area and the buffer. And I also reminded them and let them know that you, by the way, for future reference, there's also a right-of-way in the front, and I included that document too. So we'll see where that goes. Oh, and asking them to remove it. That was what Ron Money said we had to make Avalon remove it. Because otherwise, if we wanted it to be there, we would have to put in the permits and so on for them, which obviously we don't want.
Can we force them to remove it? If
I would
they
think so,
just
it's on our
didn't-
property. It's, I mean, it may be a battle, and I don't know.
Would be-
Well,
maybe
does it
it's cold,
become
I
a
don't know.
civil issue? I mean, you know,
I don't
you just
know.
hope they do it.
Well, again, not to take too much time, but years and years and years ago, up above Anchor, there was a man who built a shed in the right of way, right up to the edge of the road. And we didn't want to do that, but thankfully, because it was also against county restrictions on the setback, they went to fight for us. You know, and he did have to remove it. So since this is against zoning, I don't know how that would work. I don't know. Anyway, so we'll see what happens there.
Okay, anything else?
That's it.
Any other good news?
No.
How about roads?
We did find, I got the statement of work from Chris 2 weeks ago, I think, and so the ad went in the paper, and the pre-bid is scheduled for this Wednesday at 4, pre-bid meeting. Because I sent 7 letters, I think, to various contractors asking them to provide a package of estimate. And the bid opening is the 10th of August at 4. And also, he has submitted, I think it was, 6 letters to Soil Conservation Service again, for the 15 sites that we have for stormwater management. 6 of them are apparently in the critical area and requires soil conservation related on that. So he forwarded those letters to the appropriate people, and I said he's working on the other sites and putting together estimates. That's all.
Everybody's sort of asked. I said, I'm happy you started doing it.
Yes.
Hopefully you'll stay engaged.
I hope so.
Okay, Jack, any comments on money?
Not too much, I mean, we've got just a partial month that you can see here. And not, until they actually get used, a lot of the lines don't get populated, so it's a bit short of a bit short. But I didn't see anything noteworthy there at all.
Okay. Questions on budget? Okay. Bonnie or Vinnie?
I'll start and then I'll pass it on to you. I emailed Mark Smith about Magnolia getting on the list for this fall. And I sent him several pictures of the places where I observed some growth. And he said that he would put us on the list, and that just alerted us to the fact that his prices were going up because of the cost of gas and herbicide. But he said because of our lower amount of growth, he thought our bill would be less than last year. So the way it works, as you may or may not know, is that he has a time window of 4 to 6 weeks in the fall where he is going to do the spring, and it depends on the weather and the wind and all this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Well, I was out boating the other day and I did notice down by the boat ramp, it looked like what appeared to be Phragmites, but I could be wrong. I was gonna take a picture. I did take a
Okay.
picture, I haven't sent it to you
Yeah.
yet. But
And that-
I don't know if that's our
It's our-
DPPOA
I think it's
land
our,
or not.
Well, it depends
It was
on
just-
where it is, I
it
guess,
was-
in relation to the ramp.
If you're going down the ramp, it's on the left of it and it's very close to it.
Close to the ramp.
Mhm.
I know that, I really don't know how far, like, if you're putting your boat in the water, it's the ramp. There's a woman who owns 2
Mhm.
lots here.
Oh,
I don't know how far I guess it would be the extension of the right of way on Riverview. So it depended with the right
yeah,
of
we
way
can find out, maybe
and
add
so
it.
on. Yes, I
Get a
got
picture.
the plans.
It hasn't, we haven't treated in the past, but it wasn't on the original permit, because at
Yeah.
one time you had to have a permit, that stopped, I think, last year. And we had certain areas in Drum Point and also the club, and the club chose not to pursue it. So he's gotten the areas that we have, I think it's basically 4 areas: Community Beach, the Causeway, the Big Round Causeway, Surf Street, and the and there's one other one I'm forgetting. Oh,
Lake
Shore.
Terrace.
Hmm?
Lake Terrace.
Yes, Lake Terrace, that's the one that's been forgotten all these
Yeah.
years. So if we can, if we know it's our property, and we get a picture and tell them where it is, we're gonna edit.
okay.
Is it a heavy growth?
No, not terribly.
Like a,
And I don't even know if it is
It
Phragmites,
may- yeah.
so I may be, you know, a little
well,
wrong,
you
but-
can take a
I mean,
picture.
I'll show you the
Yeah,
picture.
if you could, yeah, and if you could take a close-up too, I can send it to you.
So if you're standing on the road above the boat ramp, that's on the left,
Yes.
okay. On the right, just a bunch of growth, under, brush.
Yeah, I didn't notice it, I'm right.
Mhm.
And then I was also out and I took a picture of one of the lots that we did, the Ivy League on last summer, I mean during the summer, spring, whatever, when we first started, and it's pretty impressive. And I put it out, I put the picture out on the Facebook
I
page.
saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and got a lot of positive response,
Mhm.
so.
I was gonna ask you about that, there's a tree, if you need some more, actually right here on this lot. It's behind the house, you know, I showed you, stop by. I happened to notice I was out talking to Joe the other day, and actually also, I think the tree that's right here at the corner.
Okay,
Because there was
when the weather
a-
gets better,
Yeah.
I'll stop by with some clippers.
Okay. Anything else? Maggie, you have any updates?
I do. I have emailed several of the safety committee members, get together so we can decide on what we're gonna do with these 2 day packs. I found a company that's very reasonable that I think we can purchase 2 of the packs and integrate them with what's already back there. So I'm just waiting a response from the committee members as to what they want to do.
Rita, welcoming?
Jenna, I guess we have 4 people. You guys are busy. So Susan, newest member, and Jenny, Asha, and Jenna, got it all right. Came in the other day and assembled seven, I think, buckets. That's what I have back there. I distributed 3 that I already had 3 back there or some back there, so I've got 6 on hand right now. The frames came in, the frames with the, thank you. Isn't it? They came in, so I put those together and inserted them.
You've only just begun.
I was gonna say, join the club.
I'm so frustrated. My name is Rhea. Maybe I should write that down somewhere.
Put right here.
Okay, I'll get it tattooed.
Get tattooed. emailed her, or the head of the committee, I emailed her again today to say any updates. I got, one of these out of office things, coming back at me, so she's out for a week, so I'll keep trying. Otherwise, I think as I mentioned before, the Corps of Engineers and MD have been firing a bunch of questions at us about the plans that we put, we gave them. And so Scott Hardaway, Coastal has been answering them as best he can. I haven't seen any real negative comments coming back again, so hopefully we're making some progress. That's about all I have. I do have one go back on the road, our operations. Joe apparently did clean out the weeds in front of the sign,
He did.
and I learned that we have a white truck with DPPOA on it.
Yes, we do.
We do?
It's gray, but that's Joe's truck. I don't want.
Oh, does he have a sign on it?
Yes, because he would pull up and start doing things and people would ask him what he was doing.
Oh, okay. Well,
So, yeah, a couple of years ago.
I didn't know we had a sign on it. Anyway,
Yes.
so there was a nice compliment on the Drum Point Facebook
Oh, good.
page. They had seen him out there with his Drum Point truck, and it said it really looked good.
Oh, I'm glad.
Nice truck.
Ask that.
Nice truck.
Oh, yeah, we bought that, no.
Yeah.
We bought the sign, not
This is at the entrance to the community?
Yeah, the big sign.
Yeah, big sign, yeah.
It had gotten pretty overgrown
Yeah,
with weeds
yeah,
and grass
yeah.
and stuff, so he cleaned it out. Okay. And in unfinished business, we're to reaffirm the safety committee membership. Are we ready to do that yet, or do you still need?
I'm not quite ready to do that. I sent out the email to Chris Nidry, to Gary, to, Dave,
Dave?
and Katie, who's been a young girl. So let me see how they feel about it when we meet next, I should be able to do it next week.
Okay. Hopefully we have no disasters between now and
Oh, yeah.
Tell Bonnie to turn off that phone.
You can't hear it, doesn't it?
Okay, new business before we turn it over to John. Are there any comments or suggestions or motions or anything relative to the Friends of Mill Creek?
I think it sounded like a great presentation, it doesn't hurt us to say, we're in league with them, whatever that means.
A partner, and it would be basically an advocacy of trying to keep the waterway clean.
And the idea of putting one of these in all the welcome packets, I think that's a great idea, that people know at least it's out there. They may or may not read it.
So we don't see any drawbacks, I'm gonna do the devil's advocate here, we don't see any drawbacks, any potential liability,
I don't. We talked about some with the yacht club, and there's, at least at this point, there's no cost involved. It's purely advocacy. We're not, as a partner, I don't know if we would carry any liability. I guess, there might be a question about, okay, if you have a paddle event and somebody drowns, I don't know. I guess that's a question worth
So
asking.
is there a different category, and is there partner versus sponsor versus whatever, what are the choices?
Not really. They haven't gotten that formal yet.
But we're basically saying we're in support of their mission,
Yeah.
and that's all we're saying.
just partner with them in this adventure.
Yeah, I
We don't have any more formal relationship than that.
I don't think we should ever get involved with trying to tell true green.
No.
oh, no.
Trying to tell people about
No,
their true
no,
green
no.
and not to do it.
Oh, no.
No, I don't think we should
That's-
do it.
That was exactly my thought when you
Yeah.
put that up, it's like, you wanna do that, please, go right ahead.
He would do better with small communities that actually have a contractor.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Cares for
Yeah.
And they're not, at least so far, they're not advocating, things like speed limits or things like that on the water that could get you into
Yeah.
a battle with pros and cons and things like that, so.
So do we need a motion?
Well, yeah, we should. I mean, if we wanna suggest that we be a partner in this, then I think we ought to have a motion and
Is it partner versus this, what are the choices?
partner.
I think, but I think it's partner pending future developments, you know,
Yeah,
because if it suddenly, like you said, if it starts getting out of hand, well, then we wanna say thank you very
Well,
much.
we can always, yeah, I mean, we can always come back and revisit it and say, okay, we're done being a partner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, right now, it sounds like, it sounds great.
I'll move that, Brentwood Property Owners Association become a partner with the Friends of Mill Creek.
Okay.
And
For
am
a
I gonna,
second,
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Or is there gonna be a caveat pending any?
Well, no, you
Yeah.
know, we can always revisit
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's subject to, it's always subject to review and,
Okay.
And who
okay, all in favor,
notifies-
say aye.
Uh,
Opposed? Okay,
Who notifies Ted?
I can send an email?
yeah,
Yeah.
you should do that. And you can, ask him for some brochures and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Okay, John, turn it over to you.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for allowing me to be here and be part of this wonderful community. Love it. My suggestions are merely that. I don't have the inside track on any great answers to all the questions that will come of this or of the ideas, but they are ideas, and what I think is the board or your committee might want to entertain some of them as a way of, if you will, improving the neighborhood. Not that it isn't great already, because of the fantastic work everybody's done, and the great dues, you know, are really very reasonable, and the roads have been fantastic. I was impressed to go to the meeting the other night with the commissioners and hear everybody have a positive comment, and they were very impressed. And I think that's all part of the momentum that helps get a community identified and raises it up as a whole. And that's kind of my intention, is to offer ideas that might, if you will, raise this up. We did something similar in Richmond a number of years ago. The community was kind of a mugging, drugging, thugging community and didn't have a very good reputation. And over a long period of time, with just small steps, it became arguably the first or second most desirable community to buy a home in, and property values went up and everybody's happy. And when you went to the council or you went to speak to people, they acknowledged you and didn't dismiss you when you talked. Kind of like, you know, well, what's that ever? When he up and speaks, everybody listens or whatever.
Yeah.
So, Drum Point is really fantastic and everything else, but I think, and I'm just gonna speak, kind of lacks identity in some way. You come around the big slope and there's big ranch and all that, and then kind of keep on going down the road, and we're kind of over here and over there and a little over here, and that's okay. But to really raise a community, you have to get a sense of value and community. And part of this, one of the recommendations is to, if you will, create a concept of villages based upon how the people live, that they feel comfortable with their neighbors, and they engage with their neighbors and create more neighborly shared experiences. If you live down on Johnson or Deer Creek, is it the same, the living on Lake, or is it the same as living, you know, on Verita or Rosby Hall? Well, they're all kind of different, but there's certain segments that could be, if you will, identified as villages, and then you create, you know, neighborhood barbecues or get-togethers or street, you know, so on and so forth. And people have an identity, but they have an identity of that community, but to the larger community as well. And maybe you could use block captains or community folks to help bring information, because it just seems as though when we hold meetings, it's like y'all are there and there's a few people, but they aren't very engaged. But maybe if there were, if you will, community leaders of these communities. And I just drew, you know, 6 circles on a map and just thought, no, okay. And that would probably be about 100 to 150 houses in each community. But these people in the northern half, you know, they probably have different issues than people down here, but whatever the case may be. This is just merely a suggestion of an idea. But then those folks could kind of get together and talk about things that may affect them and help bring those ideas forward. The most important thing and the easiest, and many of these are no cost, are relatively low cost. Or you can get grants or support from county organizations if you're doing some of these type events or programs. Even grant money sometimes, but I'm just gonna kind of read down this litany of ideas, but none of them, you know, I'm sure you've tried some and they didn't work, so okay, don't fret over those, but there might be some in here that are pretty good ideas that go, that might work, we might wanna check into it. And it may take 2 years to do it, that's okay, we're here for the long haul. But I sent an email to Rhea earlier today, yesterday or whatever, and I just asked her about the demographics of our community and which way is it going, and it's going more family friendly, more children, less of us old folks kinda. So maybe we, you know, the community could focus a little bit in terms of that kind of direction in some of these things. But I agree with everything that Ted said. I mean, I really liked his approaching. That's kind of the same thing we could do, if you know what I mean. You know, swimmable, lovable, environmentally supported neighborhood, but an identification. When I say I live at Drum Point, they go, oh, Chesapeake Ranch or something like that. They really don't know who we are, but I think we could really get an identity. For example, we could have a sign that welcome to Drum Point, you know, where the sea meets the shore, I don't know, something nice. And you can drive into your community every day and everybody would go, oh, yeah, you know, I like that, I feel good about that. And one of the things we do is, could possibly, is a more walkable community. Now, we see people walking all the time, even hazarding themselves on some of these curves and everything. There are people out walking, but a more walkable community creates safety, security, there's less crime, there's more people stop and talk. It's a great thing. So how could we make our community more walkable? Well, you go online and, you know, they have all these suggestions, safety, distance, convenience, and comfort. If you're in these, if you will, kind of village concepts, most people don't walk more than a mile to a mile and a half in the morning. That would be kind of their community. Now, I know we have these long distance joggers and walkers, you see them, but they're anomalies. They aren't normal. People don't normally go out and do 5.5 miles every morning or whatever, except for bicycles. We go crazy, that's okay. But, you know, you can talk about projects. Have we ever considered having a farmer's market down here? I know they have one way over there in Lexington Park. But, you know, is there space for a pot? I'm sure there's some farmers around here that sell some corn and taters or whatever. I don't know.
Oh, we've got that lot now.
You know, I mean, another thing that brings value to a community, and I don't know, is a dog park where people can let their dogs run instead of in our neighborhood and poopy when they aren't on a leash. A space for a community garden, that's always a nice thing to have. And then when you have a community garden, you get a couple people that are arborists or, you know, green thumbs people, and they teach about indigenous plants and what you ought to plant. What do I plant when the sun's baking and killing everything in my backyard, or what can I plant here or there? What shouldn't I plant? And then, so the people get a sense of community and whatever. The master gardeners could lead events like that on native plants, best flowers, all that. Walkable, we talked about that, hiking trails, safe walking, biking space for children, and, you know, mothers pushing the strollers. Right now, there's some areas where people move over, and there's a big wide easement on the main roads, but on kind of the streets, it's pretty narrow, it's pretty tough. And, you know, we all move over, I know, but if there was a little bit more space, how could we do that? I don't know. It might be added into the budget, but it's an idea. Obviously promote pedestrian and safer roads and streets. I already talked about a Drum Point community sign or two would be nice. The signs that we have are nice, but they're like 1950-ish. Yeah.
So my thought was out at the entrance here to have a big sign that says, welcome to Drum Point, former home, the home of the former lighthouse, and have a big picture of the lighthouse and it lined up, just welcome to Drum Point, home of the former lighthouse, and, some other beside it, but make that kind of the focal point of the entrance.
Well, we've got the big sign out there. Does it need to be changed, or?
Well, I think a lot of people have, they see it, but they don't really see it. I think the people who live here see it, but those that continually kind of drive around may not even know or even come in here to know where we are. Just about-
No.
But
It's a best kept secret,
Yes,
you know?
Well, it
It's,
is.
We
We
didn't
don't want-
necessarily want to
Yeah.
divulge it.
And we have the neighborhood signs, although some of them are
we,
getting.
kind of getting overgrown here, but.
I think the colors are just atrocious of our signs.
Well, they've been
What?
over the years.
Yeah,
What was
the
that?
colors,
The colors.
Well, the
Yeah.
55-ish, 60-ish.
Well,
Yeah.
if we're talking about the big sign to the main entrance,
Yeah.
I think that's a nice sign. I was,
I have-
I've
You
moved
know, I
here
honestly haven't.
15 years
looked
ago.
at it in years.
Sprucing out.
I moved
You
here
don't wanna
15
do-
years ago and I
Stop.
like that sign.
Yeah, yeah.
I really
I don't-
I think of Drum Point when I look at that sign, I
Yeah,
just
I do
think,
too.
you know,
Yeah.
all the signs.
We'll get into a debate on each
Yeah.
one.
I think,
So you can
I
have
was
water
just gonna have
safety
it, we don't talk
classes,
about it.
environmental, the Osprey event that was done at Drum Point, no, that was really great for the community.
Mhm.
But we ought to link ourselves with the Drum Point Club in associate, as, hand and foot, so to say, and get them to join us. There's things that they can do to really help the community get an identity, and more membership for them, okay. Community arts project, what if we had an art project? Instead of spray painting murals, what about sculptures? And then the winner gets to be at one of the entrance to one of the communities, a nice sculpture. They do it in Philadelphia, you can't build a building unless you give the city a sculpture.
I think they did that in Solomon's a number of years
It
ago.
really works, and everybody goes, oh, or,
Yeah, it's
the fish or the cows. Richmond, it was cows, but, I mean, in Richmond, here it could be
Yeah,
a
it could be a
secret.
crab or something.
Whatever.
To see
I
what.
think it was a seahorse in Solomon's, it's probably been the same.
But then we could have community walks that are for a good cause, multiple sclerosis, cancer research, food banks, whatever. And if the people want to do it just in their community, in their village, if you want to do it then okay, but if you want to do it on, the main drags in the community, that's okay too. It just depends on how big and how ambitious you may want to. Cycling events, you can have a cycling event here, 300 bikers ride through on a Sunday or Saturday. And they're like, wow, what a great place, they ride through anyway.
They do that already.
we already have that.
Right.
and I almost hit one.
Okay.
I don't want to
So,
debate
I
cycling.
had to scream at them the other
But we
day,
already have those bike lanes.
okay,
It's
because they were over in my lane,
Yeah.
and I was coming around a blind curve, so, anyway,
There's a good and bad to everything that's,
Yeah.
whatever, it's just ideas. Love the spring cleanup, I thought that was great, the weather was really crappy, but it's a great idea, and I'm using the bikes. And there's other things that people throw away that can be repurposed and given to other things. Arbor Day, we can celebrate that, plant a tree, you can get free trees from the county, they'll give them to you. Birdhouses and feeders, put some good birds, not the bad birds, whatever they get.
yeah,
Donation days.
MDE will, for $100, if you want an osprey nest on your property, they will come build it for $100.
Serious? For $100? Wow.
Do you have to if you put a piling in the water,
Yeah, you gotta get.
you have to get a permit for that? Do
I
they
don't
waive that, or?
This is secondhand information from Emily Baker.
Yeah.
I'll ask her and report back.
Okay.
And for $100, it sounds like a bargain.
And they'll put the piling in.
Yeah, right.
They're gonna put it in.
I said,
I
this
can't
is
imagine
second
that they
hand
do all that.
information from Emily Baker. I'll have more details the next meeting.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
So basically, the idea is if you will make it more communal, make it more collegial, more ownership, feel more local, because politics is, everything is local. And I know we all know our, the 3 or 4, 8 people up this way and 10 people down that way on our street, but we don't know some others beyond that. And it'd be nice, maybe they don't feel welcome, or maybe we could make them feel more welcome by doing a few things, and they would dare to step out and try anything. But these are all ideas, and like I said, some were good, and some are bad, and some you tried, and some have, negatives, but why not? If, in the 5-year plan, I've seen our 5-year plan, that's great, but we ought to have kind of a 5-year plan over here about maybe doing things that would help our community. And if we raise the value of the property on a national average of communities anywhere between 3 and 8%, let's say 5%, you can do the math. Average cost of a house here, $400,000, 5 times 4. Yeah, well, it's worth the effort. We had little plaques. We were in a historic neighborhood. And if you put a historic plaque in your neighborhood, it cost you $200. It raised the value of your house about $12,000 when you got ready to sell it. Okay, yeah.
Wait a minute, I grew up in an old house. I wouldn't buy one of those on a bet.
Again,
Everything you touch falls apart.
nothing is perfect, but there are a lot of ideas, and so I'd be willing to work, if you had a committee or a group of people to think
Well,
about something like that.
Funny you mention that. We actually do have a planning committee.
Okay.
Would you be willing to be on the committee? And what I would suggest is, there's a lot of great ideas. The thing is to pick, 1 or 2 low-hanging fruit
That's right.
that, that you
Walk
could-
first and get a success, and then,
And, if you could kind of come up with a couple ideas like that, we could, try to see if we can get something going. Some that you mentioned, the idea of the villages, I don't like that term because that reminds me of a place in Florida that I don't ever want to be in. But we do have it, and some, there's like Deer Drive, they're all over each other, they're really tight communities.
that is a very tight one.
Yeah.
Bay Drive is
Is it all
Okay.
those?
close,
Yeah. But then other places,
but
it's just like,
other areas are, yeah.
I actually have, I'll check to see if I still have it, but a number of years ago, John Gray, many of you know, put together blocks. And it wasn't for this type of thing, but his idea was that it would be part of the safety effort. And he wanted block captains, and he was pretty detail oriented, so he had maps drawn up, numbered, and so I'll see if I still have those. It never actually went too far because the liability. Because from a safety standpoint, if I tell you, your mother lives here, and I'm gonna tell you that we're gonna take care of your mother if there's a disaster, we're really putting ourselves on the line. And that was pointed out to us by a woman who at the time worked for FEMA, lived here in North Point, Rose Hiller's wife. And she said, you guys are really taking on some liability here to do that. So the whole thing kind of fit, but so then it transitioned into what we have. Anyway, but I'll see if I have those maps.
What happened to Neighborhood Watch? Does it still exist?
well, after the shooting in Texas, wherever that was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of them kind of went away.
I wonder.
Florida.
It was in Florida, yeah. Trayvon Martin case.
Okay, that.
They all kind of just,
Yeah.
People get too,
we had neighborhood watch,
Yeah,
and all
right.
you did was, you watched and you called
right.
the local police, and you didn't interdict, you didn't
Right.
interfere,
Basically, that's what we do now. We're supposed to call the sheriff if there's.
Oh, yeah,
so
absolutely.
There's a neighborhood watch sign on Deer Drive.
Well,
As
that
a
is,
deterrent, probably.
As a
It's good.
Maybe it doesn't.
It's
need to
not-
be.
Sometimes having a
Sure,
sign is as good as having an alarm system.
yeah.
But it is important to know your neighbors, even if it's just a wave or all.
I think that's probably, it depends on how far, what your radius is, but I think I find that already happens.
Well, I
It
think
happens on
the,
my street, but
Well, and it
That's-
depends on the street,
yeah.
if you've got
Yeah.
a lot of people who work during the day,
Yeah.
and they get home at night, they're helping with homework, and
They don't really want to, they don't
nobody
have
has time
time,
to go out.
especially the young families.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, the young
With the younger
families, yeah,
families,
they just
well,
don't
then
have
it is different, so.
And I have another, personally, I think all your ideas are just super duper and things come all over. But one thing really stands out to me, and I see it all the time, and actually I've been meaning to say something to you, if I can pop in, pedestrian safety. People walk, I was raised that you walk facing traffic and you ride a bike, I
With-
believe,
with
with
traffic.
traffic. I don't know if you watch around here and see how people walk. I mean, I've literally stopped in the evening, going down near where I live, and stopped one evening, and she took offense. She had on a black coat and she was walking with, traffic.
Traffic.
And I just rolled down my window and said, hey, how are you, and I said, it's really dark back in here, and I felt really uncomfortable, like I almost thought I was gonna hit you. And she got all huffy, and I said, that's fine, I said, as a matter of fact, I've got a bright yellow jacket, I'll be glad to give you.
Well, you were reading my mind, because I'm gonna say exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
And it's, but unfortunately, probably the same people who drive 30 miles an hour under the speed limit in the left-hand lane,
yeah, same
You know, they
thing,
just
yeah.
don't know.
They don't know.
or don't wanna
Don't
know,
wanna know. Mhm.
because
Or the-
always walk on the left side of the road facing traffic. That way you can see him, he can see you,
Yeah.
and you both, but if he sneaks up on you from the back side, and if you're riding a bike, you are a vehicle,
Yeah.
and you are required to ride on the right-hand side.
Right,
People don't realize that either.
yeah.
So I think part of this too is educating not only
Right.
the adults, but the teenagers and the young ones here, because I see teenagers walking down the road with earphones
yeah.
in,
Mhm.
and they have no clue that there's traffic behind them, that he's
Oh, yeah.
not facing traffic.
Mhm.
So I think part of this is to get the community to buy into education. I think that could be, one of the modules of this whole thing. And, it's needed, and I think that if it's done right, the community will fall in and understand this is a good thing for our
Yeah.
community. And we don't have to call them villages, the thought just came to me. If
No,
we
I
gave-
was kidding. I mean,
the thought came to me, if we gave each area or community some kind of a name to recognize that area, something that would stand out. I don't know, community, Deer Park.
or even neighborhood, I mean,
Neighborhood, Deer
the
Park,
hood,
or,
I mean,
We're
there's-
good.
Yeah, identity and association and affiliation is important
It is.
for the community. And then the name get, and then people, yeah.
Maybe they would choose their own names.
Yeah,
I mean, if you said, this is your block, choosing that.
yeah.
Well, Drum Point already has a better reputation than the Ranch Club.
Oh, yes,
It has.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Years,
Oh, yeah.
so.
Because we do, yeah.
Well, we have a few
recognition.
little pockets also.
Oh, we
Well, probably,
do,
yeah.
we do,
Yeah.
but, yeah.
Okay, that's it?
Thank you.
Just some ideas and,
why don't you come up with a couple ideas, let's just start,
again,
do
most of them are low cost and like I said, low, but it's a beginning, so.
Okay.
Very good.
Good.
I'll look for that.
Anybody else have any new business, old business that we didn't talk about?
No, I have a question. Are your meetings generally, how scheduled for this, I know this one's a one-off because of folks being gone elsewhere, but are they generally scheduled for like the first Tuesday of the month?
Yes,
I
that's the
guess
default.
I mean, that's super duper, and I think that's what I'm a calendar person, I did it for the year that way, but I wasn't completely sure. Okay, great.
But it changes from time to time.
Of
Yeah,
course,
because-
of course, yeah.
Availability or conflict or something like that, but we try to do it. We also try to do them at 6:30 so Tony can go eat.
Well, I have a dinner to go to, so I'm happy to do it.
Yeah.
I can do it right now, so
There you go.
There you go.
So when is our next meeting?
So anyway,
Sometime in September.
So this is the August meeting.
That's right.
Yeah,
The
September
August meeting.
6th is the first Tuesday.
is what?
Is it September 6th is the first Tuesday? I'm going to be in Montana and Wyoming, so I'm not
Is it
missing.
Labor Day?
It's Monday is the Labor
And
Day.
the following Tuesday I'll be away as well, so I'll probably just.
Oh, Monday, Saturday.
Okay, let me see, calendar.
Yeah, Labor Day is the 5th,
Yeah, the Tuesday is
and
the
the
6th.
Tuesday is the 6th.
It'll be the 6th or the 13th.
Well, yeah, and I can't do the 13th, so
The sixth.
I just soon stay with the
Yeah,
6th.
the 6th.
Yeah, I can't make either one, so.
Okay. All right, it'll be the 6th at 6:30.
Okay. Thank you.
And barring any complaints, we will adjourn.